Good morning, traders. This is Periwoku with StartupTrading.com. It is Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020, 8:48 a.m. Eastern Time. So far in the overnight, we've had a 23.5 point range. If we look at our level 4s for the day, we're looking at between 37.15 and 36.06. And really, if we look at what we've got going on a little bit different level, right? So we went up, right? Finally started to break out of this range that we had all the way back to November 9th. And right, we peaked up above it a little bit yesterday, right? And then we fell right back into it. So we're still back inside of this range of the day from November 9th. So on a smaller time frame, just looking at uh, something else to watch. So this was basically this consolidation that we've had, right? If we look at that day that was going back to November 9th, right? We've got an island or one trading day so far that's above that level, right? So this can either go one of two ways today now. And what I'm looking for, and this will be the easiest way to do it, I think, is that this island here, right, that I'm looking at that's yesterday, a pattern is that we can start trading back again below this island, right, back into this area of the chart, and we can leave these traders stranded up here on this island. That's one scenario, right? Right now we're going to open up slightly near the low of yesterday's range, right? We're opening up inside of this no man's land or the gap, right? So some people would look at this as just a gap fill play, but I think it has a little bit more on the table than just a gap because we don't have too much up here above it, right? So one of two things is going to happen basically today is three things are technically possible. I think one of them is unlikely though. So what I'm looking at is we're either going to start trading, uh, you know, fill this gap a little bit, and then we're going to decide whether, we hold up above this level, right, and, come back up this way, or we, just fall back into this zone, which would technically lead us at least back down to this area of the chart, probably by non-farm payroll, which is Friday. So that is the scenarios that I'm looking at here. So if we look at that candle from yesterday for the bell, right, we're looking at a low of 50 quarter. Right now the futures are trading at 49.75. So if we look at all the indexes here and we really start going through what's going on, we've got the overnight low below yesterday's bell low for everything except for the NASDAQ, right? And then we've got these salmon run prints that were from Monday's session, right? So these blue boxes for the ES and the NASDAQ really mark the top end of Monday's range is what they're doing. The bottom of the box is the top end of Monday's range. The top of the box is the end of the session. So the bottom marks the top of the bell. The top of it marks the top of the session. So really the futures are, this is where your island is. This is where your gap is. So your gap is between these dashed green lines, right, and these blue boxes. This would be your gap fill, would be down to these blue boxes. So we'll watch that. Looking at the Fibonacci sequences just for the session overnight, right? The bears have a little bit more control going on, but nothing really. So, 36.37 is the next target down, coincidentally. for the bears holding this. It is a little bit sloppy. It did pierce above this 36.57 in the overnight, but basically this 61.8 for the session is holding. And the same thing if we look at basically the NASDAQ, it's sloppy as well. We had the 78.6 hold, and it's come down here and basically completed targets again at 12,389. So as you know, you can see it's missed it so far by about 3 points. So as it's come down here, really that line in the sand now for the NASDAQ is up at 12,442 half. And these are just session micro draws. So you can see the Russell, a little sloppy as well, but you can definitely see that the bears are in control. And you can look up here at the bulls, right? They have nothing going on. So that 36, so really what I'm looking at is I added a zone up here between 36.37 and 36.45 for the ES. As we come into this, right, you can see, I'm going to zoom into this area of the chart. We haven't really spent too much time in the zone, right? We've either been above it, you know, back here and here, or we've been below it, right? So the zone is kind of like no man's land as well. So as we look at this zone, right, we're either going to stay above it and keep kicking, or we're going to trade, you know, below it and keep going. Now the bottom of the box can hold, right? Until you start seeing traction below 36.37, I wouldn't get too wound up to downside action. So if you are playing to the short side, that last completion for these little overnight series is this 36.37. I wouldn't look for anything to happen or another completion under that. I would have to let the market show me that it can actually start printing under that area of the chart. So looking at the NASDAQ, I've added some lines. So we've got basically 12,397, let's call it, is a line. We're flirting with that right now. Below that, there's really nothing until you get to basically 12,335 right in there. And then you're going to have a little bit of support right around 12,300. So all that is on the table. And then above, I didn't put it in here, but really you're looking at the overnight highs, right? You got a little bit of congestion over here, and that's going to be, you know, obviously always important, but you can see a little bit more important. So that's going to be right around that 12,456 area to the upside. I wouldn't be playing for anything above that on a run up, right? It should, if coming from where it is now, to get to that point, it should have to stall around before it can cross over that line. Anything above there should probably come back on a first test. Looking at the Russell is, you know, is a little bit weak yesterday. Not as weak as the Dow is, but still weak. And you can see it keeps going to support, right? Then it turns into resistance. So basically I'm looking at 12 or 1828.80, right? If it can't get over that, it should be heading down to 1815.30 and then 1806.20. Above you've got 1839.60 and 1850.50. But I don't think that you're going to get any traction over 1839 unless we get a major shift, right? So remember, Powell is on the mic today again. So we might not get anything going until he cuts off of the mic later today. So keep that in mind also. So looking at the Dow, 29,737 is really what it's holding below overnight. Above there, there's probably going to be a little bit of resistance somewhere between this low, swing low from yesterday at 29,819 up to 29,843. I wouldn't be looking for anything above those levels until it prints, right? It should be just like anything else. If you get that far up on the chart, it should have to hold. And I think it's really going to struggle to get anything over 29,737 to start with. It should have to stall around there and monkey around before it can start climbing up later, right? This is you've got bulls trapped up above today in all of these indexes. So looking back at all the indexes and really putting some final thoughts on this, really what I'm going to be watching, right? Can we start printing below 36, 37, right? Do we even get into that box? So 45 is the first level, right? And pay attention to how many of these indexes hold or start getting back above and into yesterday's range, right? That's what these green dashed lines are as you approach up here. So until you get both of these indexes, the NASDAQ and the ES, below these blue boxes, right, it's not going to be too bearish, right? The bulls are still in control long term. They're just in a weak place today. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.